Welcome back to the Money List. In this video, we're going to look at an unusual option activity that made me pull the trigger on a call option, and why I am now bullish on oil for the entire 2026 year. So we're going to examine the entire trade from A to Z to see what you think about it. And before we do that, remember that nothing on this channel is financial advice. So be careful trading and make sure you do your own homework and your own due diligence. And if you do not know how to place an option order, whether it's a call or a put, the video link will pop up at the end of the video. Or you can just go to the playlist tab and you will see a how to trade options button. Okay, so the company that we're going to look at and the focus of this trade is TransOcean, ticker RIG. And it's a Switzerland company, and I will explain more about that later in the video. So before we look at the unusual option activity, let's watch this clip that just happened 3 days ago from the White House.
The Treasury Department just announcing significant new sanctions on Russia in a press release that was just posted. The Secretary of the Treasury is announcing sanctions on the Russian oil companies Rosneft and Lukoil. Also designated are about 30 different subsidiaries of each of those two companies. Obviously, a major escalation of the sanctions between the United States and Russia. I talked to a senior White House official about this decision a short time ago. The official said that the president leads by instinct, and the president felt it was the right time to move forward with these sanctions. Obviously, it is connected to the falling through of that meeting between Vladimir Putin and President Trump. President Trump had been looking forward to a meeting with Vladimir Putin. That meeting now has fallen through, and as a result of that, you see the U.S. side taking this action to move forward with these sanctions. The senior White House official saying that the president wants to see results in this relationship, and the president is hopeful that there can be a productive meeting between the two men at some point in the future. Not clear when that would happen. Clearly, President Trump here is frustrated with a lack of progress in coming to a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine over the war there. And this set of sanctions now is the next step up the escalation ladder as the president tries to bring some kind of control to that situation. Guys, back over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this has been percolating for a while, or at least the possibility of it floated out there for a while. Yep. I mean, this takes me back to the conversation we had with Bill Browder from Hermitage Capital just yesterday on this show, Eamon, and that is how productive and effective can sanctions like this be when energy is still so much of the crux of how Russia is generating income right now?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that President Trump has said again and again is that he feels that the price of oil is really going to affect Vladimir Putin's mindset. That if the price of oil hits a certain point, Russia simply won't have the economic initiative to be able to continue its war. Whether this, to your point, Morgan, whether this set of sanctions will do the trick or not, certainly not clear from where I stand, but clearly an attempt by the U.S. side to fire a shot across the bow of Moscow and get their attention.
Now let's hear what Donald Trump said the same day, which really makes me bullish on this trade.
I just felt it was time. We've waited a long time. I thought that we'd go long before the Middle East.
Why do you believe, Mr. President, that the sanctions that you're announcing today will push Putin to the negotiation?
Well, I don't know that they will. I think that they'll certainly have an impact. They're massive sanctions. It's sanctions on oil. The two biggest oil companies, among the biggest in the world, but they're Russian. They do a lot of oil. And hopefully it'll push... hopefully he'll become reasonable, and hopefully Zelensky will be reasonable too. You know, it takes two to tango, as they say, and we're going to find out.
So based on what Trump said, and based on this unusual option activity alert that I got, which happened on the same day, leads me to believe that something is brewing with oil. And I will make my case that it's going higher throughout the video. Okay, so now let's look at the unusual option activity alert that I got from one of the message boards that I follow, because I follow a few of them. And as we examine that, let's examine the volume, the open interest, and the expiration dates and the strike prices.
Okay, so this is the unusual option activity alert that I got, and it's a bullish call buying for ticker RIG on October 23rd, 2025, which is about 3 or 4 days before I made this video. And the buyer bought 52,000 contracts, which is worth about $10,400. And he bought the January 16 strike, and he bought the $5 call. And he bought it above the open interest of 42,000 contracts. And when he bought it, the stock was trading at $3.85. Now let's go to the options chain to see if these contracts turned into open interest, which in my opinion makes it a legit trade. First thing that I'm going to look at is that RIG is trading at $3.90. And that's what it was trading on the following day the guy made the trade. And when he made the trade, it was trading at $3.85. So because he did not place the order at the money, which would be around $4, instead he placed the order out of the money at $5, which indicates he thinks RIG is going to $5 because he placed the trade at $3.85. So he thinks there's upside from $4 to $5 by January 16th. And so far, that is a legit sign to me. The next thing to look at, did the volume convert to open interest? Well, when he placed the 52,000 contracts, it did turn into open interest because we now see the open interest at 134,000. And the existing volume that day when he placed the order was 42,000. So 42,000 plus 52,000 equals about 94,000. So that volume did convert to open interest. And we can see the following day, which is October 24th, there was another 29,000 in volume. So because that guy's order and the existing volume for that day turned into open interest also makes me think this is a legit trade. And come Monday, I will see if this 29,000 converts into open interest. And if it does, it's even more of a legit trade. Why? Because sometimes you see a lot of volume that does not convert into open interest the following day. And to me, that would be a red flag. But in this case, it's not. Now I want to look at the other open interests for the other strike prices. And we can see that there is a lot of open interest here. There's 31K, 6K, 134K, 6K, 2K, 56K, 20K, 5K, 9K. All of this money is about $61,000. That one guy's order is about $10,000. So all of this open interest is another legit sign that this is a legit trade and something is cooking here. And another clue would be that the volume is lower than the open interest, because every time I had volume higher than open interest, I got burned. So this is another legit sign, being that the volume is lower than the open interest. So my next step is to see if there is open interest for other strike prices. So let's go to the prior date before January 16th and let's choose December 19th. And look at this. We see a ton of open interest for the prior expiration date. And we see the volume is lower than the open interest, which I like to see. So now let's go to the prior expiration date. And we see on December 5th, there is no open interest. Let's go to the prior one. November 28th, barely any open interest. Let's go to November 21st and look at this, a little more open interest. Not as much as the January or December, but there's still something there. Now let's go to November 14th and there's a little bit here, but not much. So based on these metrics, I believe something is brewing for December and January.
Okay, so now let's look at the financials, because I would never place a call option unless unless the financials made sense to me relative to the trade, whether it's a call or a put.
Okay, so first let's go to the balance sheet for RIG, and keep in mind they have a $3 billion market cap, and we can see that their total debt is $6.5 billion. Now that sounds like a lot, but their total liabilities and shareholders' equity is 17.8. So their equity is about 3 times their debt, which is good. Income statement, and we want to look and see what they are doing in revenue for the past 3 to 4 years. And we see they did $2.5 billion in 2021, $2.5 billion again in 2022, $2.8 in 2023. So they grew a little bit here from here. And then they grew a lot in 2024 to $3.5 billion. So considering this, they are doing about $3.5 billion a year in revenue, and their market cap is $3.8 billion. So they're basically trading at a 1-to-1 price to sales ratio, which is very good, and indicates that their market cap is not overvalued. They are not overvalued. The income for the last quarter, which is $988 million. So the thing that I notice here is that they paid $1 billion in taxes because they didn't pay it here, they didn't pay it here, they paid $500 million here, and they didn't pay it here. So something happened this last quarter, which makes me think that it's a one-off. It will not happen the following quarter when they post earnings in 3 days. And we can see that this negative $938 million affected their net income by negative $938. It did not affect it here, the prior quarter. It did not affect it here because they had a positive quarter, and it did affect it here. So in my opinion, this next quarter will be positive. And here's why. This article was posted 3 days ago on my TradingView platform, and it says here, TransOcean Rig is set to release third quarter results on October 29th, which is in 3 days. The current Zacks consensus estimate for the to-be reported quarter is a profit of 4 cents per share of revenues of $1 billion. So when we go back to the income statement, they're going to post $1 billion. This tax probably will not be there. And the earnings per share will flip positive to where it was 3 quarters ago. And this negative 1.06 will probably be positive. It will probably be 0.01. And my entire case is that they will start posting 10% growth quarter per quarter. Something will happen with Trump, which will increase their net income, which will increase their earnings per share over the next 4 quarters. TransOcean's financials are very good, except for the negative 1.85 in earnings per share, which we saw may flip positive this upcoming report. And I expect it to be positive over the next 4 quarters.
Okay, so now let's look at my call option that I purchased. And keep in mind, if this stock runs from now until January, which was the unusual option activity alert, I will quickly cash out. And I'm expecting it to run 50% to 100%. So if I get to 100%, I'm out. And then I'll consider purchasing another one once I take the cash.
I decided to place the January 15th, 2027 $5 strike call, which has legit open interest of 17,000. And we see a lot of other open interest for that expiration date. So why did I choose 14 months out? Because I am bullish on oil for the entire 2026.
So in conclusion, I am bullish rig because remember Trump campaigned on drill baby drill, more natural gas, more coal, and I think he may take a stake in RIG to help them with their financials. And because RIG is a Switzerland company and they're not tied to NATO and they're not tied to the European Union, they're neutral, they have no political affiliation with Russia or America. So I think they will do a deal with Trump for business purposes. and to bring their next quarter positive, because their last quarter wasn't. Or it may be on the 29th, we don't know. So I don't think the Russian-Ukrainian war is going to end anytime soon, and Trump's sanctions are only going to increase. And Trump wants Ukraine and all of Europe to get oil from somebody else, and not Russia. And he doesn't want them to get natural gas from Russia. And Trump is pissed that India is buying from Russia and other Latin countries. So whether Trump takes a stake in RIG or makes a deal with them, I think something is brewing here. And I think all this open interest that we saw earlier is smart money. It's somebody in the government. It's well-informed money managers that know something we don't know. And it's not retail traders. It's not a meme stock. So it's not dumb money. It's not gambling money. It's smart money. Nobody's trading RIG. There's no reason for this to be so bullish. Unless it's smart money, in my opinion. And because the Russian-Ukraine war is taking a leg higher, and Trump is now considering selling Ukraine Tomahawk missiles, which indicates it's taking a leg higher, Switzerland may want to join with Ukraine by helping supplying them with oil and natural gas, which comes from their drilling. So there may be some kind of agreement or union here in an attempt to get back at Russia. Because we know all of Europe is not supporting Russia. And and a lot of them are scared of Russia, like Poland, Hungary. And because TransOcean, ticker RIG, is not in the European Union and not in NATO, it makes sense for them from a business perspective to make a deal with Trump. Because Trump is all about drill, baby, drill. And that's what they do. And I think TransOcean will do something with Trump to make them more profitable quarter per quarter per quarter as Trump is in office. And eventually, I think the stock will go back to 10, which I discussed earlier from the chart. So now that I laid my case and showed you the numbers, what do you think about this trade? Leave a comment, let's get the discussion going. And are you going to be placing this trade? And do you think it's smart money, dumb money, retail money? What do you think? See you in a few days with my next trade in the next video. And if you're wondering how to place an option trade, watch this video that pops up on the end screen right now.